Dear Emily, my name is James Miller. My Aunt Eleanor came back from your town a few days ago, and apparently she's decided I spend too much time on my own. She talked about you almost the whole way home. To be honest, at first I only listened because it was easier than arguing, but then she showed me your photograph. Don't worry, I'm not going to tell you you're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. Aunt Eleanor already did that about 10 times. She said you work, live alone, and as far as she knows, aren't seeing anyone. Then she gave me this look, like she'd already decided everything for the both of us. I told her it was ridiculous. She said, then just write to her. She can decide for herself if it's ridiculous or not. So here I am, writing. If this seems strange to you, feel free not to answer. I'll survive. At least I'll have something to hold over my aunt the next time she visits. But if you're not too tired of reading this, I'd really like to know a little more about you. For instance, why is Aunt Eleanor so sure you love old records? And one more thing. She said you make a better apple pie than she does. I really hope that's true, because if it's not, I already have grounds to demand an explanation from her. Yours sincerely,
Dear James, I thought a long time about whether to answer you, not because I didn't like your letter. Quite the opposite. That was exactly the problem. I read it 3 times before I sat down to reply, and then I spent another 10 minutes trying to figure out how to start without sounding like I'd been waiting for your letter my whole life. So I'll just be honest. Yes, this is very strange. My name is Emily Harper. I'm 26. I do live alone. I do work. And yes, Aunt Eleanor really does talk too much. Though now I understand a little better why she was so eager to introduce us. She wrote to me after she got back and mentioned you about 7 times in her first letter. James is a good man, James works hard, and of course, the most important one, James is unmarried. She said that last one twice. Now about the apple pie, I'm afraid I have to disappoint you. Aunt Eleanor is lying. My pie is just okay, nothing special. Once I burned it so badly, my father said we shouldn't call it a pie, we should call it evidence. But I really do love records, especially old jazz. Now it's my turn. Why would a man who, according to my aunt, is quite well settled in life, take her advice and write to a complete stranger? That's more interesting than apple pie. And James, don't worry, I won't tell Aunt Eleanor you wrote to me. At least, not yet.
Emily, I'm glad you wrote back, and even gladder you didn't tell Aunt Eleanor. She already acts like she's done something terribly important for me. To answer your question, why did I write? At first, because of her. But now, probably because of you. Don't read too much into that. I'm just telling the truth. I'm 28. I work in my father's workshop, fixing trucks and cars. I like the work, though my father still doesn't think I'm serious enough to ever take over. He's probably right. I've never been much good at planning ahead. Maybe that's why I liked your letter. You said you live alone. I wonder, do you actually like being alone? Because I'm starting to think people just get used to it. Everyone's talking about Europe these days. My father reads the paper at breakfast and gets worked up over every other article. He says sooner or later this war will reach us too. I don't really believe him. America's a long way off. And I listened to some old jazz records today. You were right, they're good. Just don't tell Aunt Eleanor I've started taking your advice. She'll think her plan worked. Until next time.
James, I wasn't going to reply so quickly, but you asked me something and I've been thinking about it for 3 days now. Do I like being alone? I don't know. Maybe I did at first. When you're 26, people seem to think you should already have it all figured out. Husband, kids, the right number of towels in the cupboard. I don't have any of that. I have a small apartment, a job, a few friends, and a radio that only works when it feels like it. And honestly, that was enough for me. until your letters started coming. Now I've picked up a strange habit. I wait for the postman. It's a little silly. This morning I heard footsteps on the stairs and thought it was him. Turned out to be my neighbor bringing me the newspaper. By the way, you're wrong about Europe. I don't think the war will reach us either. But sometimes when I listen to the radio, I feel like the whole world has grown restless. My brother says men our age will end up in the army sooner or later if this keeps up. I told him he watches too many movies. He said I listen to the radio too much. Maybe we're both right. Now, about the old jazz, I'm glad you liked it, but next time don't tell me I was right. That's a dangerous habit. I might start thinking I'm always right. And James, you said you've never been good at planning ahead. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. Sometimes people think so much about tomorrow that they forget about today.
Emily, you made me do something unusual today. I came to work, opened the shop, saw the truck that needed fixing, and instead of getting straight to it, I stood there for a few minutes thinking about what you said about tomorrow. My father, of course, decided I was sick. I told him I just hadn't slept well. He said I should read less at night. I didn't bother explaining that I'm not reading books. Your letter is in my pocket. Go ahead and laugh. I laugh at myself, too. You asked what I do when I'm not working. Lately, not much. On Saturdays, I sometimes drive out of town. There's this place by a lake I used to go to as a kid. There's almost never anyone there. If the weather's nice, I take some coffee, sit on the old pier, and just watch the water. Sounds boring, I know, but I like it. Now it's your turn. Tell me something I don't know. Something you don't usually tell anyone. Don't worry, I won't use it against you. At least not yet.
James, there's one thing I almost never tell anyone. When I was 19, I wanted to go to California. Just get on a train and go. No plan. I even bought a ticket, but at the last minute I didn't get on. I still don't know why. Maybe I was afraid of how my father would react. I've thought about that train ever since. Strange, isn't it, how your whole life can change because of one single minute, or because of one thing you didn't do. You wrote about the lake. I pictured you there, and now I have to admit something else. I've started imagining what you're really like, not the way Aunt Eleanor described you, but the way you sound in your letters. I don't know if that's a good thing. Maybe we're both a little reckless. Strange world we live in. People go to work, kids run through the streets, people argue about prices in shops, as if nothing terrible is happening somewhere far away. Maybe that's why I like your letters. Write to me about the lake, and about why you go there alone.
Emily, you ask about the lake like there's some secret there. There isn't, though now, after your letter, I'm starting to invent one. I go there because it's quiet. When I was 10, my father took me fishing there. We spent the whole day, and I didn't catch a single fish. He said it was because I talked too much. I argued. He was probably right. Now I go alone. I sit on that same old pier and think about all sorts of things. Sometimes about work, about where I'm headed, and lately about you. Now, you can call me reckless, I don't mind. You wrote about that train to California. I can't help feeling you should have gotten on it. I think people regret not what they did, but what they didn't have the courage to do. By the way, I had my first real argument with my father today. He wants me to take on more responsibility at the workshop, says he can't carry it all forever. I said I know. Then, out of nowhere, he asked if I had a girlfriend. I don't know where that came from. I said no. He laughed and said, then at least don't let the work slip. I guess parents always think they know you better than you know yourself. I'd like to see you in person someday. There, I said it. You can pretend you didn't notice, but I'm still glad I wrote it.
James, I won't pretend I didn't notice. I'd like to see you in person, too. There, now we've both said something we probably shouldn't have written to a stranger. Though, if you think about it, you haven't been a complete stranger for a long time. I know how you argue with your father. I know you go to the lake when you want to be alone. And I know you read my letters at work, even though you probably shouldn't. So I suppose I have the right to ask one more thing. If I said I wanted to meet, what would you do? Don't answer right away. Think about it. Today I stood by the window for a long time, watching people rush home. Everyone's in a hurry. But I realized for the last 2 months I haven't been in a hurry at all. I'm just waiting for your letters. And that's become strangely important to me. My brother talked about Europe again. He says sooner or later America will have to get involved. I told him he's wrong. He said, I hope I'm wrong. Strange answer. We both fell silent after that. I don't know why, but today, for the first time, this war didn't feel so far away. Maybe tomorrow I'll wake up, go to work, buy coffee on the way home, and forget all about it. Now answer my question. If I really came, would you meet me at the station?
Emily, I thought about your question for 4 days. Not because I didn't know the answer, I just wanted to say something cleverer than what first came to mind. It didn't work. Yes, I'd meet you at the station, and I'd probably pace back and forth for 10 minutes before your train arrived, checking my watch every 30 seconds, and when the train finally pulled in, I'd suddenly forget everything I'd planned to say. Now, I want to ask you something. If I came to your town, would you recognize me? You have my photo, but it's old. In it, I'm 24 and I had a lot more hair. Don't laugh, I'm serious. Also, I heard the latest news on the radio today about the negotiations with Japan. My father listened in silence. Then he turned it off and said, I'd just like a quiet Christmas. I didn't say anything. I guess everyone wants the same thing right now, a quiet Christmas. Funny how little a person sometimes needs to be happy. I don't know what December will bring, but I know one thing. If you keep writing to me, I'll be waiting for it, and for your letter especially.
James, I think I'd recognize you. At least I hope I would. Maybe you're right. Meeting after so many letters would be scarier than just keeping on writing. In letters, you can think before you answer. You can cross out a stupid sentence. You can read it back and decide that's not what you meant at all. In person, it doesn't work that way. So for now, let's leave things as they are. Though I've started thinking about what I might give you for Christmas. Don't laugh, that doesn't mean I'm planning to come. I just like the thought that somewhere out there, there's someone I should pick something out for. Everyone's been talking about Christmas lately. The shops are crowded, the streets are full of people, and the house across the street already has decorations up. And it all looks so normal. I think that's what surprises me most. We read the papers, listen to the radio, argue about politics, buy gifts, and somewhere far away, people are living completely different lives. My brother said again that we shouldn't think the ocean makes us safe. I told him he's being dramatic again. He laughed. I hope this time he's wrong too. And one more thing. Don't forget your promise. If someday I do come, you have to meet me at the station. I don't want to stand there alone looking for a man I've only ever seen in an old photograph.
Emily, I don't know if I'll be able to write to you like I used to in the coming weeks, so I decided not to wait. Your letter from the 5th arrived just as everything around us started to change. After Sunday's news, everyone here seemed different. Me too. Yesterday, I enlisted. I don't really know how to put it. I suppose I can say now that I'm going into the service. For now, I don't know where they'll send me. They don't tell us much, just to wait for orders, go through the procedures, get ready. So I don't want to give you an address that might be useless in a few days. As soon as I know where I'll be and where you can write to me, I'll let you know. If you still want to hear from me, that is. I don't know how long this will take. A few days, maybe longer. So if you don't hear from me for a while, don't think I've forgotten you. Quite the opposite. Right now, I think I'm thinking of you more than ever. Yes, I remember I'm supposed to meet you, and somehow that thought matters more to me now than it did before. I don't know where they'll take me or how long all of this will last, but I know that one day I want to meet you, not as someone from a letter, but just as James. So for now, I'm not saying goodbye. Emily, finally, I have a chance to write to you again. For now, I'm still here in the States. We're training, and if I'm being honest, I'm so busy most of the day that by evening I can barely keep my eyes open. But today I made the time, and more importantly, now you have an address where you can reach me. I don't know how long it will stay valid. They're not telling us anything about what's next. We might stay here longer, or we might get moved. So if I disappear again for a while, at least now you'll know it's not because I stopped wanting to write. There are a lot of guys here around my age. Every one of them left someone behind. Every one of them has someone waiting. Yesterday, one guy got a letter from his girl and read it 3 times in a row. I didn't say anything to him, but I understood. I've been rereading your last letter too. Just don't tell anyone. I've got a reputation to protect. Tell me how you are. What's going on at home? And do you still listen to that same old jazz record, the one you still haven't told me the name of? Now that you have my address, I'll be waiting for your reply.
James, I was so glad to see your letter and to know you're still in the States. I have to admit, I waited for your first letter after all of this with a kind of strange fear. When I finally saw your handwriting on the envelope, I didn't open it right away. I just wanted to hold it for a moment and know it was really from you. You ask what's happening here. Almost the same as everywhere, I suppose. People have learned to talk about the war like it's just a normal part of the day. In the shops, about what might soon run out. In the evenings, everyone listens to the radio. Then they turn it off and try to carry on. You wrote that there are a lot of guys your age there, and now I think about all those men and about all the women sitting at home waiting for their letters. I think that's the worst part of war. I don't need big stories. I just need to know that you're somewhere out there. You can even write nonsense. And about the record? No, I'm still not telling you the name. You have to earn it. And James, I'm glad you wrote. More than I can properly say.
Emily, you told me to write even nonsense. All right. This morning, one of the guys in our room woke up before everyone else, sat up in bed, and stared at his boots for a good 2 minutes. Then he said, "I hate these boots." After that, he got up and started polishing them. That's a soldier's life for you. Boots, food, cold, tiredness. I'm not complaining, I just don't know yet what's waiting for me. Sometimes I'm exhausted, sometimes I'm angry, sometimes I'm completely calm. I met a guy here, Sam. He's from Texas and talks like the whole world ought to listen only to him. We argued yesterday over coffee. He claims he makes the best coffee there is. That's a lie. I checked. You once promised to play me your favorite record, so if I make it back, get ready. I'm coming with a very specific list of demands. 1, decent coffee. 2, that record. 3, apple pie. Yes, I remember, and I'm not accepting objections.
James, I read your last letter over breakfast and nearly choked on my coffee at the part about your demands. You seem to have forgotten very quickly who decides what kind of pie you get. And actually, if you're coming with a list like that, I'll have to make one of my own. 1, you are not allowed to criticize my coffee. 2, you have to tell me which record you listened to most often before you started getting my letters. 3, you have to tell me everything about this Sam. I'm already curious how anyone can argue so seriously over coffee, and if he really talks as loudly as you say, I'm almost on his side. You write about training like it's just long days, boots, and bad coffee. Now I can almost picture your day. You wake up early, training, classes, more training, and in the evening you probably sit somewhere with the other guys trying not to think about tomorrow. I like to think you have an ordinary life right now, one where you just get tired from training and argue over coffee. Let it stay that way for now. And James, you wrote, "If I make it back." Don't write that.
Emily, I have news. They finally told us where we're being sent. Great Britain. To be honest, I thought after Pearl Harbor we'd be sent after the Japanese, like a lot of the guys here, I guess. I was angry at them. I wanted to go there, but it looks like things are going to turn out very differently. Now it looks like we'll end up in Europe, fighting Germany. They only told us we won't be on the front line at first. Where exactly after that, no one knows. That's probably why they didn't give us a permanent address. We leave soon. I wanted to wait until I knew more, but if I wait, I might not get a chance to write to you at all, so I'm writing now. When we arrive, I'll find out where letters can be sent. As soon as I have an address, I'll write. I don't know how long that will take, but don't think I've disappeared. It's a strange feeling. Not long ago, I was only thinking about work with my father, about the cars we fixed together, about what I needed to finish by the end of the day, and now I'm standing here with my things, knowing I'm crossing an ocean. I won't lie to you, I'm scared. Not all the time, but sometimes. Especially at night when everyone's quiet and your mind starts wandering. Then I think of your letters, and somehow it helps. I want to have something waiting for me back home. Maybe that sounds strange, but I don't care. I'll write as soon as I can. Take care of yourself, Emily.